a good day or what? Unbelievable. Some of you heard me saying yesterday when I got the information that I wanted to tell my 150 closest friends, and I was told I couldn't say anything until today, but I was just bursting. I couldn't sleep last night, and I've been getting emails since 12:01, since the embargo lifted. And if you've not heard, the significance is that last year, you will recall that U.S. News and World Report's Best Colleges Guide ranked us number 5 in up-and-coming national universities. This year, we are number 1. It speaks volumes about the respect that people around the country have for what you do, for the support we give our students, for the high achievement of faculty and staff and students, for the community that we have built over the years. I think it is equally important, perhaps in a substantive way, even more interesting, that in the top 5 institutions reported to have best commitment to undergraduate teaching, 5 are very prestigious private institutions. We're the only public university in that top 5, tied with Stanford. Give us a big hand for that. And of the 20 unranked, when you see the report, there's a category entitled Creative Work and Research, undergraduate research, and they just listed the top 20 without ranking them. The list starts with Caltech and ends with Williams. It's got MIT, it's got Hopkins, and right there in the middle of mainly private institutions, except for maybe Chapel Hill and UVA, there is what institution? UMBC. One more hand. That's great. Let me just say that the message I've been giving to the media is that, first of all, we appreciate the support we get from our elected officials, from the governor and the legislature, because their investments in us have led to our being in this place to give us a chance to do what we do best. And that's why, as we work really hard to get that Arts and Humanities building, it will make all the difference in the world. Arts and Humanities building, all right? That will be our number 1 goal this year. And so with that said, we're going to start today by just announcing in this opening, we wanted to thank all of you for your contributions to our campaign, Exceptional by Example. You know that our goal was to raise $100 million. We've got 1 more year. And as of June 30th, we were at $99 million. Big deal. Give us a hand for this. So many faculty and staff donors are here who've given money, and we appreciate what you've done. We thought it would be a good idea to give you a chance to hear from a couple of the students who profited from the funds you've given us. And so I'm asking Matt to come up and Milady to introduce themselves, and let's give them both a hand, okay?
I can tell you for a fact, I never wear a suit, and I picked like the hottest day of the year to actually do this. Also, Dr. Bowski, it's great to save money at the university because we pretty much never need a motivational speaker, put it that way. This crowd, you guys have more energy than the entire student body pretty much. You guys, the basketball games, you should show up. You would be great support system. So I've actually been invited here to kind of talk about myself, which is a slightly awkward thing to do in front of a room of people, full of people. But I need to kind of condense 3 years of my life into about 2 minutes. So bear with me, it's kind of a crash course in my life. This university has been one of the most pivotal aspects of my life, I think, even though it's the most recent memory I have, since I am actually a rising senior here. It's been invaluable to me. My experience here has kind of helped foster who I am today. I have a speech written here that I'm actually not even looking at. Spent all morning at work writing it, and now I'm not reading it. I told you guys that I was going to kind of go that way. By the way, everybody over there I work with. So in terms of my experience here, there have been so many things it's kind of tough to put into words, but I feel as if this university has really afforded me the opportunity to sort of mold myself into the person standing before you today, for better or worse, I'll put it that way. Through academic instruction, like Dr. Rybowski referenced, we have an amazing faculty, and that's not only the teaching component. We have an amazing faculty from the standpoint of availability. As a student, I have never been turned away. I've actually had professors encourage me to come to office hours, and then when you don't show up, they kind of look at you like, hey, I invited you and you didn't show up to the party. But yeah, I have awful jokes too. But it's one of those things where you actually feel like you make a connection with the people who are teaching you. And something that's been amazing to me is the fact that our faculty members and our professors, some of you are likely sitting out there, are doing this not because it's just a profession, but it's actually a passion. And teaching is a passion. We have people who have gone into a more professional setting in terms of an applied and hands-on experience in the material that they're actually teaching and have chosen to come back and actually work with students. And to me that says a lot because it shows that you could be making six figures, but where your heart really lies is in connecting and kind of educating that next generation, if you will. Another great aspect of my university experience has been the social life, not in the typical sense possibly. I wanted to kind of talk about the Shriver Living and Learning community where I lived for my first 2 years here. It was a floor dedicated to community service. I spent about 30 hours during each semester that I was there, kind of volunteering in different aspects of the community. It was great to be able to move into a place. When I got here, I knew absolutely nobody. I'm from New Jersey, kind of America's garbage dump up there. Yeah. Anybody else who's from there, you either know what I'm talking about or are horribly offended now.
We get a lot of students from New Jersey. Give a hand to New Jersey.
Yeah. So for me coming here, I didn't know anybody except, I pretty much knew everybody in the admissions office by the time I arrived here. But I didn't know any students, so to be able to actually be in a floor and be in a community where everybody had at least one common goal, which is kind of public service, community service, and things oriented of that variety was really nice because I could start a conversation and know exactly what people were pretty much going to say, make friends, and I've made lasting friendships. My best friend was my roommate my freshman year. We met the first day we moved in. There's nothing more awkward than moving into a room with somebody you've never met before, let me tell you that too. But overall, I feel, to sum up my rambling, basically, that this university has allowed me, again, to become who I am, and without your contributions, whether it's a financial contribution or whether it is just simply working with students, making this kind of an accessible campus, making it the place that it is, that cannot happen. And for that, I thank you. Enjoy the food. And
What's your goal? What's your goal? What do you
my goal? Oh, this is an ad hoc speech. Okay. Impromptu. My goals, next step for me, I'm looking into graduate school. I know that if I start working, I'll get too lazy and never want to go back to school. So at the moment, I'm looking to the Fletcher School at Tufts University, Georgetown, American, looking at places that have programs in different aspects of international relations, more or less. So kind of a shrinking world, so it might make sense to learn about what's out there.
Give him a hand. That's great.
Hello, my name is Milady Gonzalez. I'm a PhD candidate in the biology department doing bioinformatics and computational biology. I heard about UMBC, or I learned about UMBC from a program called Horizons. It's a recruiting effort for minority students. And I decided to come to UMBC because, first of all, I knew I would be involved in very exciting research, but especially because I could tell even from that short visit that great effort went into creating programs that fostered a sense of community, which we needed to succeed. After 6 years of being in this program, I haven't been disappointed. Not only have I had access to the Promise family as a peer mentor, helping other students toward degree completion, but I've participated in a wide variety of professional development seminars and programs. I've had access to one-on-one dissertation completion coaches, and I've been part of a program called Dissertation House. I call it dissertation boot camp, because we have a group of people that are there, have us there for a week, making sure all we do is writing and helping us get closer to that goal. Also, as a chemistry-biology interface fellow, I've cross-trained in both areas and have done research in both areas and have had access to invited guest speakers who are scientists at the top of those two fields. With the financial support of all these programs, as well as with mentoring by people in these programs, I have been able to present my research nationally and internationally, and have engaged in several collaborations with other labs here at UMBC, at NIH, and at the University of Virginia. Now, as a result of this training that I got at UMBC, several institutions have been interested in recruiting me for a postdoctorate. I've interviewed several places, and I'm in the process of accepting an offer from NIH. Now, like Matt said, it's a bit awkward and embarrassing talking about oneself, but it's my way of saying thank you, and it's my only way to illustrate that what you do makes a difference in real lives. And it's truly my story and those of others I represent here. It's a true testament to UMBC and to its leaders for regarding investing in its students its primary goal. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much.
Now, first of all, you did a great job. We're very proud of both of you. And I'm delighted to say that our provost grew up in New Jersey, and he wanted me to make sure we say we recruited Anthony Johnson from New Jersey and a lot of the other people in the room. How many people lived in New Jersey at some point? You look around the room. So Matt, there's a lesson for you. Don't you ever again get up and say. With that said, I am delighted to introduce someone. This morning, just by chance, I was getting all these calls from the media about things, and in the middle of them, I had a call from a search firm. It was the firm that had recommended our provost, and they called to say, how is he doing? Would you give him a hand with that? Elliot Hirschman.
Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to welcome everyone back to campus. The opening of school is a special time. It's a time of great promise and great excitement, and this is especially so this year. Last year at this time, I shared a few first impressions of the campus, and I was looking back at them and I was struck by how they were reinforced and grew stronger as the year went on. And the first impression that I had of the campus was that the national reputation was changing. Let me tell you, that turned out to be quite an understatement. We were ranked in the top 5 last year. Princeton Review ranked us as one of the top 50 best values, and now it's today's recognition both as an up-and-coming institution, but also very important as an institution that combines a focus on research and creative activity and teaching. This strengthening of our reputation is something that we can all be justifiably proud. And equally important, it's a foundation on which we can build moving forward. I had an equally strong impression of the campus community, and looking out, I have that same impression again. A collegial atmosphere, people supporting each other, and people working together to address challenges. I think in many respects, this is one of the most impressive aspects of the community. Our community strengths came forward in the faculty and staff campaign that we are celebrating today. We're facing a difficult economic challenge, but in fact, not only did our faculty and staff members continue to give, they actually set a record this past year. And it was heartening to see us going from 500 to 600 to 700 and then all the way above 900 donations. And I think I would ask you to give yourselves a hand for that. An equally important aspect of the faculty staff campaign is the impact that the donations are having on our community. For one example, contributions from the faculty and staff are supporting on-campus jobs for students. This is not only allowing students to focus on their education and pursue their dreams, but it's also providing much needed support to our faculty and staff as we face some difficult challenges. These purposes are more than important. They're essential as we move forward through this year. And I hope you will join together with us again this year in the Faculty Staff Campaign. I want to close by emphasizing that this year, like last year and every year before us, is a journey that will present some challenges, both for UMBC as an institution and for us individually. It is, however, a journey that we begin with very substantial strengths, a growing national reputation, broad excellence in our students, faculty, and staff, and a committed, cohesive community. It's also a journey that, as discussed in our recent retreat, we begin with careful plans and priorities for the coming year. And I'm confident that by working together, we'll be successful and will position ourselves for even greater success. Thank you again for your support, and I look forward to working with you this year. It's now my pleasure to turn the program back to Freeman for his State of the University address.
That is great, Elliot. You know, when Elliot was considering moving from George Washington University to UMBC, one of the questions that always comes up is the advantages and disadvantages of being at different kinds of institutions. And what impressed me the most was his ability to ask good questions and his sincerity in talking about his belief in the values that we consider important. Before I begin the address, I'm going to ask all donors to the Faculty and Staff Campaign to please stand. Would you give them a hand? Stand up, folks, and let us just say thank you to you. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you all very much. We ask others to consider it, and I will say something that I say about alumni giving also. We are less interested in the amount you give, though we'd like you to give whatever you can, but less interested than in the idea of giving. I can go out. Greg Simmons can go out. Others can go out and raise more money when we can say a higher and higher percent of our students, particularly of our alumni, of our faculty and staff, and students gave something to the campaign that you believe in this place. So think about that, because we will be working to bring in more private money as we work to bring in more grants, given that state revenues are down. So it helps to be able just to say what people are willing to do. Each time at this year, we gather as a community to take stock of our progress and to look at our challenges. This year is especially important because the challenges that we face are of a global nature. When we look at our economy, when we look at the national situation, when we look at this state, we continue to think about who we are and who we will be during this period. It is remarkable that we can have this level of community and good feeling about ourselves in the midst of a stormy environment. It is not the first time that we have done this. As we continue to think about our challenges, I want you to remember that we are guided by two overarching principles: protecting the academic program and supporting people. I have always believed that if you show people that you care, and when times are hard, if you do everything you can to protect the security of people, to let people know, just work with us. We may have to cut budgets, but we're saving jobs. The people don't have to worry, am I going to get laid off? If we can do that, people pull together, and it makes a big difference. The retreat this past 2 days with campus leaders discussed steps we can take as we think about the budgetary situation, as we think about our goals. And I'm going to be going through some points of my talk. It would take much too long to read the entire talk. I'll read parts, talk a few minutes, and then refer you to the web. You can go and see the entire thing and read it. But let me just highlight the critical points. We talked about our two strategic goals: undergrad experience and research, and the graduate education. The idea of building this first-rate research university, a place where students, undergrad and grad, will do well, distinctive undergraduate education. This morning's recognition speaks volumes to the progress we have made in having the country look at what we're doing. The 4 critical areas that have been produced as a result of planning led by our provosts and vice presidents and deans and other leaders of the campus include retention and graduation rates, the infrastructure for the research and scholarship of this campus, environment and sustainability, and safety and security. Now keep in mind, those are not the only areas we're concerned about. But those are 4 critical areas that kind of frame the discussion as we move ahead. We want to know that our students are doing well, undergraduate and graduate students. We want to recruit the best. We want to give them a good experience. We want them saying when they're a senior or when they're about to finish a PhD, I'm glad I came to UMBC, that I've got great opportunities, and I'm looking at the best of institutions from NIH to Tufts or wherever, and that is the goal. We want to know that in each of these cases we're making progress, and I'll go through some of them. To give you specificity with regard to the fiscal update, you should know that our governor, working with our chancellor and the system and elected officials, these people are working together to protect higher education as much as possible. We are a major part of the state budget. The state's budget is down considerably, hundreds of millions of dollars. If we were being cut proportionately, we would be talking about devastating cuts. If you go to other states in the union, you see 20, 30, 40% to the base. That is not the case here. It is difficult, but it is not the case here. The fact is that the cumulative reduction since fiscal year 08 has been about $11 million, of which about $5 million, half of that money, came from the base. The other half came primarily from furloughs, difficult, but people still have jobs, quite frankly, and the fund balance reductions. And so what has happened is that we know we have another shortfall, and we will have another cut. The good news is, again, the governor is working collaboratively with elected officials, with our system staff, to be as respectful and as supportive as they can be. Will it mean another cut? Yes. But do we believe it's a cut we can handle? Yes. The leaders of this campus, Senate leaders, provosts, vice presidents, deans, and others have been working to think through strategies that we can use, from the hiring freeze to having to reduce some financial aid while trying to find other ways of supporting students, to deferring facilities renewal. You've seen the letters that we've written so far. The most encouraging news to me is that we are meeting, in fact, will exceed our projected enrollments. When people talk about is an institution doing okay, quite frankly, the first thing they have to see is, are we able to still attract students? And can we help those students get the financial support they need to make sure they can come? And then can we give them the kind of experience to make sure that will make sure they want to remain at the institution? And that's why we talk about that priority of recruitment and retention. And the numbers at all levels look very good. We will have over 12,000 students again this year, probably moving more and more towards 12,500. We have students from every state in 150 countries. We'll have about 1,550 freshmen. That is very significant. Just several years ago, we were bringing in about 1,200 students. Last year, we moved from mid-14s to mid-15s, and we're again at that 1,550 students, 100 students. We're bringing in more students from out of state, places like New Jersey, and we're delighted to be doing that. And Matt, I'm on you today, Matt. You're helping me out. You are. And these are very bright young people from all over. We will have about 1,100 transfer students. We have worked very hard to connect collaboratively with community colleges. About half of all students in America and in our state are in community colleges. We have worked to build very strong relationships with a number of those institutions. They do a fine job, and the more we connect with them academically and through admissions, the better off those students will be. The residence halls are doing really well. We will have about 4,000 students, including about 80% of our freshmen will be in the residence halls. It's an amazing story. We are indeed a residential campus, and about half of all full-time undergraduates are on campus. To put that in perspective, one of our peers is the University of Delaware. About 40% of their full-time undergraduates are on campus. For large research universities, when you get to these numbers, you're considered residential. The graduate student numbers are looking good. We're expecting to be well over 2,600. I expect in the next year or two, Dean Rutledge, that we'll be at 3,000. I can see it already. And we are building these undergraduate programs that have begun in the recent years that are doing really well. Media and Communication Studies, the major in Gender and Women's Studies, the Public Health Program, the Game Development Program, at the Aging Services Program at the undergrad and grad levels. Due to the graduate enrollments and the undergraduate enrollments are looking really good in Aging Services, and we're very pleased about that. We are also pleased at the graduate level with the Geographic and Environmental Systems program, the Systems Engineering program, and all the programs we have with our continuing and professional studies, including the master's programs at Shady Grove. How many of you been down to Shady Grove? You know, we have a campus there. I mean, we have a campus at Shady Grove. Now, some other people claim the campus too. That's okay. But we walk in and we act like we own the place, all right? We're very proud of Shady Grove. What's nice is that our students at Shady Grove see themselves, they are UMBC students. And so if you get a chance, I want you to go down and just see it, because we now have hundreds of students in a variety of programs there, including history and political science and psychology and social work, and we've got corporate training going on there. And what's really significant about this is that we are having more and more of a foothold in Montgomery County. As you might expect, Montgomery County has the largest number of, quite frankly, well-prepared paying students in the state. Make no mistake about it. In fact, they become our #1 feeder school system. And so whether talking about the high schools there, Montgomery College, it is a special place, and Shady Grove is there too for students who cannot come to the campus here. They can do things there. And so with that said, the message is the enrollment is strong. I would ask you in the next few days to remember that when a new student comes to campus, it's like when new faculty and staff come, to be as welcoming as you always are, but to remember that the place is new and strange to people. If you've been here for years, you know everything. You know where everything is. But if you're new, it can seem, particularly to a young student who's not been on a big campus like this, it can seem somewhat daunting. And it helps when people, faculty and staff and other students, stop people who look confused and just say, may I help you? What are you looking for? It lets them know. It lets them know that people care. The capital budget this year, it's significant that we've already gotten the planning and designing money for the new Performing Arts and Humanities building. We have had faculty, staff, and students contribute to the design process. We are requesting construction funds this year. Keep in mind, this is a facility that ultimately will cost over $150 million. This will be bigger than any 2 buildings on campus. It will transform the campus. How many people were here before the library tower was developed? Right? You know how different the place was once we had the library tower? How many people were here before we had the new Commons? Well, think about something being much bigger than either one of those. Think about the idea of what that will do to transform the place. How many of you in the room have been at UMBC at least 10 years? 20 years? Anybody 25 years or more, stand up. Let me see you. 25 years or more, let me see you. Give them a hand. For the group, before you stop, don't sit down yet. Okay, anybody with 30 years, keep standing. If it's 30 years, keep standing. 30 years, keep standing. So what that means is, okay, that means that these people, before you don't sit down yet, don't sit down. Get back up, Bill Ross. For 30 years, I was just thinking that means that you were here at least in 1979, right? Okay, all the people who are 35 years, keep standing. Give them a really big hand. That's really nice. That's very, very nice. That would have been 1974. Now, is it something more, 40 years? Is there a 40-year group? Anybody, who's 40 years? Good God, yeah. I love it. And the good news is you still look good, all right? It's a great story, I love it. But the stability of this place, when I think about who we are, I think about people who have given their lives to this place, who take great pride in who we are. With this Arts and Humanities building, let me just say this. It's so important because it is at the foundation of everything that we do. It is a building with programs through which all of our students will have experiences. It is at the core of the UMBC education. I want everybody to appreciate this is not just an extra facility. This is at the heart of the UMBC experience. And our plan is to use this national recognition to say, when you give us the resources we need, we can do big things. We can prepare even more students in the arts, in the humanities, in the social sciences, other areas, but also to make sure that every student has that grounding. And I want you to feel that passion as we talk this year in working to get that next, because it is not a done deal. Let me just be very honest. There are all kinds of forces competing against us and other places for their facilities. You get my point? So we cannot rest and say, oh, yeah, we got the planning money. Now, we will eventually get the building, but we need that building. We need to be able to start construction next summer. Give us a hand for that. It's very important that we say that. It's very important. For those of you who may not know it, over the past decade and a half, we have increased the actual square footage of facilities here by 750,000 square feet. New engineering and physics, public policy, just see them as I say them. Renovated biology and chemistry, new student apartments, the commons, addition to the RAC, new athletic facilities and stadium facilities, and I can tell you the campus has never looked better than it looks today. Give the physical plant people a big round of applause. In the last year or so, I had a group of board members that come to talk to me about a possibility of going to a private institution. And I said, well, just walk around campus with me. Just walk around campus with me. And because they couldn't understand why I wouldn't be jumping at the opportunity. And I said, just walk around campus with me. And the two things that they noted, number one, they said something, they meant it as a compliment. They said, well, it looks like a private place. What they were saying is, it looked like we had money, all right? But the other thing they said was, people seem so friendly. They said, are people always this nice, or is it just when guests come around, right? And then I just happened to stop people along the way. I stopped a faculty member. I stopped a student. You know how I do on campus. And everybody had an interesting story. And they just knew I had planted the people along the way. But that's the UMBC story. The research part 15 years ago did not exist. We had, in 1999, we had not completed the first building, and now we have finished the last building. The last building houses the Erickson IT operations and retirement living TV, and we now, this past year, we opened the facility for U.S. Geological Survey, Water Science Center, which we got as a competitive process because of the strength of the academics here in those areas. We've got now, I think there are 75, 80 water scientists there with our faculty and students working closely with them. We also opened a multi-tenant facility in engineering and IT, and just right now we're working to attract the big company, software development company, and what they are looking at is just the quality of the enterprise and the way we go about partnering with others. It makes a big difference. And so what I want you to think about, and I want to congratulate Ellen and Greg for working with me on, give them a hand on this research project and getting these things done. I really mean that. I really do. Very important. Very, very important. We now have, if you didn't know it, we now have 50 companies on campus. 50 companies on campus, hiring 1,250 people, working collaboratively with faculty members and with 125 people, students working in those companies. One example that I want to give you that is particularly receiving national acclaim is our Activate program, which has now trained 100 mid-career women who have launched 25 new tech companies and have just won another big grant between NSF and NIH for an entrepreneurship partnership with NIH to train even more. That's groundbreaking, to talk about more women in technology starting companies. And that's the UMBC story. In the environment, what you know is that we are paying increasing attention to the impact, first of all, in our state-funded capital projects on the campus and throughout concerning the environment. But you also know that 2 years ago, I signed the American College and University President's Climate Commitment, and people wondered whether or not we were serious. Well, we appointed a committee, and that climate change task force, chaired by Lynn Schaefer and Jenny McConnell, has been doing a lot. They have completed an inventory of greenhouse gas emissions. They are in the process of finishing the campus energy audit. They have launched a sustainability website, and we're on schedule to complete our climate action plan by the early fall and to look at long-term plans. And as a part of the design for the Performing Arts and Humanities building, we are working to achieve LEED certification. You may or may not know that stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, which includes rigorous standards for environmentally sustainable construction. We're also very fortunate to have a lot of faculty and others and staff on campus who are involved particularly in environmental and earth sciences research and education. And we have an environmental council, group of faculty experts chaired by Scott Farrow that's doing a great job and had a national teach-in just recently and are focusing heavily on these issues. And they come from economics, anthropology, from English, from biology, from geography, and physics. I want to take time right now and congratulate Scott Farrow, whether he's here or not. Scott just won an incredible MacArthur grant. Give him a big hand for that. Oh, he's there. There's Scott. That's good. Really nice, Scott. Very nice. We're so proud of you. It's great. It's just great. And it's to launch this new journal for the Society of Benefit Cost Analysis. I'm learning this language as I go around bragging, all right? And it's just great. It really is. We are just delighted. I mean, to have these kinds of names associated with our campus speak volumes about the quality issue. In terms of students, graduates, and our 2009 graduates, we had Jack Kent Cook, we had Howard Hughes Gilliam Fellow, Merck undergraduate scholars, we had a number of NSF research fellows. We've got students going to Duke and Northwestern, UCal San Diego, to Hopkins in medicine, to Princeton in chemical physics, to Duke in law and environmental science, to NYU in art history, to Baylor in biomedical engineering and neurobiology, and the list goes on and on and on, from the arts to the sciences, and it is an incredible list. And with large numbers going to work at places amazing. From Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman to school systems to Social Security Administration. I think they've hired about 50 of our people at Social Security just in the past 3 months, to give you a sense of things. I will tell you, it's always interesting to know what salaries look like at different places. I think our top salary for chemical engineering, Julius is somewhere, a young man started first job of his life at ExxonMobil in Texas at $90,000. So we'll all go and leave tomorrow and go to Texas, all right? In terms of intellectual and athletic conference, we were really proud again this year to be #1 in chess. We are #1 in a lot of things. We're very proud of that. We were very proud, quite frankly, that we were 7th out of 100 student teams in the mini Baja competition for the East. We were ahead of places like Georgia Tech and Hopkins and Cornell, and we don't have the money. You know, it's just being scrappy and getting it done. That's what's so great. You know, it's just being scrappy. That's what they say about that lacrosse team and that basketball team. They're just scrappy and get it done. Give basketball and lacrosse both a big hand for what they do. And because it was great to see Monroe in basketball getting back to that championship. It was great to see Zimmerman winning again the conference championship. It was great to see men's swimming doing so well. They won the American East in swimming and diving. We don't hear as much about swimming. It's incredible to see how well they do there. And it was also great that half of the athletes earned above a 3.0 this year. Give our athletes a hand, would you? Significant that our co-salutatorian was a tennis player, 4.0, Cornelia, and that our women's volley basketball team won the NCAA National Award for Academic Achievement. Give the women's volleyball team a hand for that. We were honored in June by Science Magazine. They named 2 institutions that were considered the examples for minorities in science. It was UMBC and Berkeley, and they made it very clear we were much better than Berkeley. Give us a big hand for that. Enough said about all of that. And in terms of faculty achievements, and you can go, we'll have listed in my annual report a lot of names. Let me just give a few examples. I was really proud this year with our presidential teaching and research professorships with Ram Hasmani and Tom Cronin, and then Taryn Bells got the Regents Faculty Award for Excellence in Mentoring, and Jason got the award, Jason Laviglio, for the Excellence in Teaching. Big deal when all these institutions are competing, and we have our faculty coming out doing so well. Cheryl Miller got the President's Commission for Women Achievement Award, very significant. And our staff to have Ralph Murphy getting the award for exceptional contribution to the institution, Ralph from biology, and Cindy Campbell in the institution advancement. Sue McMillan from the Provost's office got the Presidential Distinguished Staff Award. I was really proud of both Ellen Hemmerly and Diane Lee for being 2 of Maryland's top 100 women, joining Lynn Schaefer from last year. Give them a hand for that. Regarding the faculty, I could mention NSF grants, I could mention NSF Career Awards, elections to prestigious societies. The list is so long, we'd be here all day. You can look at that list. Let me just mention one, just one that I mentioned today to some of the media. And they were saying, well, give me some examples of high quality. I said, well, we just got a Guggenheim. Now, when you tell people that one of your faculty got a Guggenheim, that tells people it's as good as you get. It's as good as you get. Kate Brown in history. Got a Guggenheim to complete research and a book on secret manufacture of deadly plutonium in 2 cities, one in America and Russia. Give Kate a hand, would you? It's just really, it's so many awards. And please read the list with all of those people who have gotten incredible awards and are doing great things with books and research. The research achievements this year, in terms of funding, led to $89 million. We're very proud of that with a variety of national agencies. But let me tell you what's significant. We are responding to the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. This is a time when there's federal stimulus money. You might be asking yourselves the question, what are we doing about it? Well, I'm really proud of the faculty here and staff who worked on these things, Jeff Summers and others, that we have now put in 70 new proposals. Give us a hand for all the work that people have done. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the fact is, believe me, that, I mean, obviously, the more proposals you put in, the greater the probability that you increase the numbers you get. So you'll be hearing about some of those. But I mean, it's great to see the researchers putting in grants, to see Jim Dunning and his group putting in a big grant involving energy savings. So from faculty to staff, we're talking about millions of dollars. And in so many of these areas, the success depends on multidisciplinarity. It's on the idea of places like JSET and Casper and Curie and Guest and Crest. You look these names up. If you're saying, what are these initials? Go to the web. You'll see it. You'll see it. You get. But the idea of all of these programs in the sciences, but then the Center for History Education that continues to get millions of dollars of grants to prepare teachers. I'm speaking this afternoon to open the school system in Baltimore County, and then tomorrow morning I got to drive to Dorchester because tomorrow morning I'm opening the school system there. And what I will talk about will be just the idea of people collaborating to get things done, whether among staff and students. And we've got so many examples of that. Keep in mind, we are 3rd in the country in the number of geosciences publications, according to Science Watch. 3rd, behind Harvard and Georgia Tech. It's a big deal. Keep in mind, if you haven't, how many of you looked at the U.S. Air Quality Smog blog? It's called the U.S. Air Quality Smog blog. It's JSET's daily diary. And it's amazing. I can be in other parts of the country and somebody will look at me and say, yeah, you're the smog blog people, right? So you all need to go look at the smog blog on reporting air quality across America. Go to the web and look at it. It's great visibility for UMBC. That's a joke, folks. So you get it, you get it, you get it. Ah! We've also created core research facilities in proteomics, in scientific imaging, in high-performance computing, and in photonics. And we've just gotten another major NSF grant for the Center for Hybrid Multi-Core Productivity Research, led by UMBC, but working with Georgia Tech, UCal San Diego. And the name of the game for a lot of the proposals we've put in has been working with other institutions across departments to get things done. Very proud of the new GAN Awards. That's the graduate assistants in areas of national need that we've gotten in biology and physics, and other partnering with the Center for Imaging Research Center, and its work in partnering with a variety of places, from the Deutsch Foundation to others, to the Center for Art and Visual Culture, to the Hilltop Institute, the Maryland Institute for Policy Analysis, Research, and the Shriver Center. All have been partnering with a variety of foundations to get things done, to work with children, to work in the arts. And you hear about BRAC, well, make sure you talk to Martello, because we are really poised. We've gotten several grants that will allow us to be training people as they move from New Jersey, man. And a lot of people are moving from New Jersey. He keeps turning so red. But the idea is that we will be doing more and more training and getting people into these programs as people move, as we talk. You know, BRAC stands for the Base Realignment. And we have many people who will be moving here over the next several years. The fundraising and friend raising. This is a time when it's very difficult to talk about getting people to give a lot of money, because everybody's funding, everybody's endowment would be down. And yet we've been working to build friends. It is significant that we've gotten to the $99 million, that we actually did still raise $10 million this year from the Erickson Foundation, from the Deutsch Foundation, from the Meyerhoff Foundation, from IBM, and give everybody a hand who's been involved in friend and fundraising across the campus. I want you to... The advantage of being middle class is that we're not heavily dependent on the endowment. I've been at some wonderful institutions in the past 6 months who have billions of dollars in their endowments, and the endowments are down 25 to 40%. And significant amounts of their money for salaries coming from the endowment couldn't help but mean they had to lose a lot of people. It is significant that we have increased our endowment. At the high point, we've gotten to $60 million. Keep in mind, just 12 years ago, we only had $2 million. It's a long way from 2 to 60 for a middle-class place. You get my point? And right now, we're down. We're in the high 40s, depending on the market, all right? But we'll come back up. But that is still significant. The more endowment we have, the more interest we can have, the more we can sort other kinds of, can give support to other kinds of things, and it will come. Make no mistake, it will definitely come. The UMBC magazine will help us with alumni. Give everybody a hand who's involved in that UMBC magazine. We've gotten 2 big national awards for staff just recently. The UMBC magazine people, Richard Byrne, raise your hand. Just came back from the editorial staff of the Chronicle. Very proud of him in the last year. One of our own alums who worked on the paper here, Bartleby here, I think it was. And they just received the very prestigious national award from University and College Designers Association for that magazine. And I meant to mention this earlier. The National Housing Officers Association gave our residential life people a national award. They do a great job. Give Nancy and Katie and all of them a housing award, would you? It's very nice to hear about those. It really is. And it's significant, Richard, that the magazine is being designed by our own alumni. We are very proud of them, the idea that we can produce people who can do that kind of work. So we are creating a culture of philanthropy. This is an institution where all of you, at one point or another, will say something to somebody about why you enjoy being at UMBC, and it makes a big difference, or why you are helping to recruit a student, or why you think people should invest. And so each of you really represents. You become UMBC. In terms of accountability, we've had a lot of external attention. We did really well with our audit, and very few exceptions there. We've done really well with all of the compliance regulations that we've had to deal with, so we're making progress in those areas. We're working with the system as they talk about their priorities, because we have made sure that our priorities reflect well on what they're doing. The achievement gap issues, we are one of the few campuses in the country where minority retention rates are actually the highest on campus. For freshmen, that's great. Where we have a challenge is in helping minority students who transfer in do as well as whites who transfer in. So it's important to say that that's where we are working to give support to people who come from other places to help them to do well also. The climate change and competitive measures we're already working on with system. How many of you remember about 3 or 4 years ago when we talked about PeopleSoft? Would you give everybody a hand who's been working on PeopleSoft? Because you got to admit, it's much better. Michael Brewster's and Jack Seuss, and from all the areas, from HR to finance and now student administration with Yvette. I mean, in all those areas, you know, whether talking about in looking at how we track our grants, when talking about human resources and making sure people get paid, when talking about student administration, which is the most recent of the, when talking about finance, we are doing well. You know how I can know we're doing well? You're doing well when you don't hear as much about it. Because believe me, when it's not going well, I hear about it all the time, all day long. I mean, I get protests, I get letters of petition, right? So it is great that we're making a lot of progress. We are increasing internal control and transparency in the fiscal and personnel management. We've got greater capability and capacity with student administration, with the admissions, financial aid, student records, and we will all be well served by these project teams and the academic advisory committee and the project governance structure, all focusing with our consultants to make sure that it moves smoothly. Students and faculty gaining access through my UMBC portal will have much more ability to work on self-service functions, from class registration and advisement to information about transcripts to bills and financial aid. And so we will see things getting better and better. And the key will be training. It will be, I would just ask you to keep open minds and know that a lot of people are working very hard on those matters. That ends all the stuff I wanted to tell you about, all the different areas. Let me just make some final comments. You know, I remember when in September of 2001, the country was devastated on September 11th. And I remember our students coming together at night from all over the world. Christians and Jews and Muslims and others, Hindu, you name the religion. And there was a candlelight vigil. And we were grieving, but we also wanted to give support to all those people who were feeling that Americans were in some way judging them or stereotypically thinking that because they may have come from the Middle East, that they were not to be trusted. And we wanted them to know they were a part of this community, that we believed in them and that we would be there for them. And I remember saying, this is UMBC at its best. Last year, we had our Maryland Charity Campaign at a time when people were worried about jobs, when the budgets were being cut, when the markets were going wildly in the wrong direction. And we asked people, even with all of that going on, to give something to help someone else. It was astounding to see the way UMBC faculty, staff, and students came together in the Maryland Charity Campaign. And we had Terry Warchesky and staff senate leaders and students all out saying to people, let's come together and give to others. And we did more than we have ever done before. And what it said to me was, this is a special place. This is a place where people believe in the power of education to transform lives. The next year or two will not be easy. We will continue to see challenges with the economy. But I am convinced more than ever that as we focus on people and on community and on trust, that we can see our way through all of this. This is our 43rd year. Some people can say they've been here 40 years. I am honored that this is my 23rd year on this campus, my 18th year as president. I just had my 59th birthday. I'm old. I love it. Wait a minute. I love it. And somehow what I think about is this: the longer we are here and the more we know about each other, the more we trust and respect each other. Because as you get to know somebody, you either decide this is not somebody I want to be around, or this is somebody I can believe in. And what I want to say to you is, as we get this national recognition, as you see things in the Post and the Sun and on TV, I want you to know all of this recognition is about you and what you do every day to make a difference in the lives of others. And so I want us to do just two more things. We're going to sing the alma mater. I have been saying to people, we have to teach. Don't worry if you don't have a nice voice, it's okay. We have to teach our community to understand that the alma mater represents us. We were at a basketball game last year, and the alma mater was being sung, and I saw our UMBC people walking out. We were playing the University of Vermont, and I saw every person from the University of Vermont stand out of respect for us as the alma mater was playing. You get my point? They had been taught, you respect the alma mater. And so I have one thing I want you to do, and then you're gonna see something that Jack Seuss and his colleagues have produced that is a wonderful, with a conductor who was a special man to this campus. And I want us to sing with the camerata. You're gonna see that. I want you to stand in a minute and sing that alma mater. But the last thing I want you to do is you think about 2009 and you savor this moment of national recognition. I want you to stand and applaud yourselves. We are a special community. I salute you. It is an honor to be the president of UMBC. Thank you all. Will be here on the screen. Please stand. Nobody leave. Okay?
Congratulations, UMBC. This is a good day, folks.